What if your life is not just about personal goals, daily challenges, and fleeting emotions? What if you're part of something far more vast, intelligent, and interconnected? Universal consciousness, often referred to as the Source, is the infinite field of intelligence that permeates everything in existence. It is not a religious symbol or a philosophical abstraction. It is a living, dynamic presence that holds the blueprint of life, the force behind creation, and the essence within every atom. Science points to the presence of a unified field underlying all matter. Ancient traditions, from Vedic texts to indigenous wisdom, speak of a sacred energy that binds all things. In spiritual terms, this is what we call the universal consciousness. It is not outside of you. It exists within your awareness, waiting to be acknowledged. This connection is not reserved for mystics or monks. It is innate. Each thought, breath, and emotion you experience is an expression of this greater intelligence. When you're aligned with it, life becomes more coherent. You begin to notice clarity where there was once confusion, peace where there was unrest, and direction where you previously felt lost. To understand this force is to understand yourself. You're not a separate observer. You are a participator in this field, influencing and being influenced by its flow. This realization changes how you view reality. You're no longer fighting against life, but dancing with it. Most people live unaware of this connection. They navigate their lives with fragmented attention, disconnected from the deeper intelligence guiding everything. But awareness changes everything. Once you glimpse the presence of this consciousness, nothing remains the same. This is not about belief, it's about direct experience. You don't have to subscribe to a doctrine. You only need openness and presence. Begin by observing the stillness within. In silence, the presence of the Source becomes more apparent. The more you tune in, the more real it becomes, not as an idea, but as a living truth shaping every moment. Most human suffering arises from a single misconception, the belief that we are separate from everything else. This illusion shapes our identity, dictates our decisions, and narrows our perception of reality. From a young age, we are conditioned to see ourselves as isolated individuals, striving alone in a competitive world. This narrative creates a sense of disconnection, not only from others, but from the very source of life itself. The mind, especially when dominated by ego, reinforces this separation constantly. It labels, judges, compares, and defines. It builds barriers between me and them, self and universe. As a result, we move through life guarded, defensive, and often anxious. We chase validation, fearing insignificance. We crave control, fearing chaos. But these fears stem not from reality. They come from the illusion of disconnection. In truth, nothing in the universe exists in isolation. Every cell in your body communicates with the whole. Every breath you take exchanges molecules with the environment. Every thought has an energetic impact. The trees, the oceans, the stars, each is part of a unified system, flowing with a shared intelligence. When we live as though we are separate, we become reactive. We lose our center, we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders. But when we recognize the truth, that we are never truly alone, a shift begins. The burden lifts. Life becomes less about struggle and more about alignment. This shift is not abstract. It has practical consequences. Relationships improve, anxiety reduces, and decisions become more intuitive. You begin to act from a place of inner coherence rather than external pressure. The connection with the Source becomes more than a concept. It becomes a felt experience that guides your every move. Letting go of the illusion is not about abandoning logic. It's about expanding awareness beyond the mind's limitations. It's not about losing identity, but about remembering a deeper one. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a single drop. Releasing the illusion of separation is the first step toward real freedom. The connection to the universal consciousness is subtle, yet unmistakable. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or noise. Instead, it reveals itself through experiences that transcend logic and awaken a deeper sense of knowing. When you're aligned with the source, life begins to reflect patterns that go far beyond coincidence. One of the first signs is heightened intuition. You sense what is right before the facts appear. You feel guided, not by thought, but by clarity that emerges from silence. This inner compass becomes more reliable than external advice. You trust your path, even when others cannot see it. Synchronicities also increase. Seemingly random events begin to align perfectly, as though life itself is responding to your inner state. You meet the right person at the exact moment needed. Answers appear through books, dreams, or spontaneous insights. These moments are not accidents. They are echoes of your connection with the source. A profound sense of peace arises, independent of external conditions. It is not the temporary calm that follows success, but a steady presence that remains even in chaos. You begin to notice a quiet joy beneath the surface of ordinary moments, walking, breathing, listening. That joy is not from the activity itself, but from awareness of being. Another indicator is the diminishing need to control outcomes. When connected to the source, you no longer force results. You allow life to unfold without resistance, knowing that what arrives serves your evolution. This trust replaces anxiety. Action flows effortlessly, not from fear, but from alignment. People around you may also sense a shift. They feel drawn to your presence without knowing why. Relationships deepen. Communication becomes more authentic. Judgment dissolves, replaced by compassion and understanding. These signs are not reserved for spiritual masters. They are available to anyone willing to become still and receptive. The more you attune to this field, the more these experiences become natural. They are confirmations, not that you're special, but that you're in harmony with something greater. Connection to the source is not something you earn, it is something you remember. The signs are always there, waiting to be recognized. The connection to the universal consciousness is not something you lack, it is something obscured. What blocks this natural alignment are internal layers built over time. Fear, rigid beliefs, emotional wounds, and mental noise. These barriers distort perception and prevent you from recognizing the presence that is always available. Fear is one of the most common obstacles. Fear of letting go, fear of the unknown, fear of losing control. These emotions tighten the mind and body, cutting off intuitive flow. When fear dominates, you become reactive, focused on survival rather than expansion. The source does not speak through fear. It communicates through stillness and trust. Another powerful block is the overactive mind. Constant thoughts, worries, and analysis create a wall between your awareness and the deeper intelligence beneath it. This mental chatter fills every space, leaving no room for silence. Yet it is in silence that the voice of the source becomes audible. A mind that cannot pause cannot receive. Emotional wounds also play a significant role. Past experiences of betrayal, rejection, or abandonment can leave imprints that harden the heart. These energetic residues often create unconscious resistance to surrender and openness. The heart, once guarded, cannot fully feel the frequency of the source. Limiting beliefs further restrict access. If you believe you are unworthy, separate, or alone, you will experience life through that filter. These beliefs are not facts. They are inherited ideas, often absorbed without questioning. They shape your inner dialogue and determine what you allow yourself to experience. To reconnect, these barriers must be acknowledged, not fought, but understood. Awareness is the beginning of healing. When you observe fear without judgment, it begins to dissolve. When you sit with your pain instead of avoiding it, it softens. When you question your beliefs, their power fades. The source does not demand perfection, it invites authenticity. The more honest you are with yourself, the more space you create for truth to emerge. Clearing internal resistance is not about fixing what is broken. It's about removing what no longer serves, so the light within can shine freely. Reconnecting with the universal consciousness doesn't require complex rituals or years of isolation. It begins with intention, deepens through presence, and unfolds through consistent practice. The source is not far away. It's simply beyond the reach of distraction. To access it, you must become quiet enough to hear it. Meditation is one of the most effective tools. Sitting in silence, without expectation, trains the mind to release control. As the inner noise fades, awareness sharpens. This space is where the presence of the source can be felt, not as a thought, but as a quiet force beneath all experience. Even a few minutes of true stillness each day can open profound doorways. Conscious breathing is another direct method. The breath is always in the present. When you slow it down and observe it, the mind naturally settles. With each exhale, tension dissolves. With each inhale, clarity rises. Breathing consciously grounds you in the now, the only place where the source can be experienced. Nature is also a mirror of the source. Time spent in natural environments realigns your frequency. Watching the ocean, walking through a forest, or simply sitting under the sky dissolves mental boundaries. In nature, you remember your place in the greater system. You begin to feel connected, not just intellectually, but viscerally. Gratitude shifts your vibration instantly. When you focus on what is working, what is beautiful, what is true, you align with abundance. The source responds to appreciation not because it needs praise, but because gratitude opens your heart. A grateful mind is a receptive mind. Movement practices like yoga, tai chi, or even slow, intentional walking can also support connection. These disciplines unite body and breath, dissolving fragmentation. When the body is aligned, the mind follows. The source flows freely through a balanced system. Each of these practices serves a single purpose: to bring you back to presence. The source is always here. The question is, are you? By choosing even one method and applying it consistently, you begin to clear the static. What remains is the frequency of truth, pure, clear, and always available. Once the connection with the source is recognized, the next step is to live from it. This doesn't mean escaping your responsibilities or abandoning your goals. It means approaching life with clarity, presence, and alignment. When you live from the universal consciousness, your actions are no longer driven by fear or ego. They are rooted in coherence with a deeper intelligence. Decisions become simpler. You don't waste energy debating every choice. Instead, you feel what resonates. You trust your inner signal rather than external opinions. This clarity saves time, reduces anxiety, and strengthens confidence. Even when outcomes are uncertain, you move forward without hesitation, knowing your actions arise from alignment, not pressure. Your relationships evolve as well. You stop needing others to fill internal gaps. Instead, you bring wholeness into your connections. This shift dissolves patterns of control, expectation, and conflict. You listen more, react less, and respond with presence. Others feel this and reflect it back. Harmony is no longer something you chase. It becomes a natural outcome. Work transforms. Rather than forcing effort, you tap into flow. Focus sharpens, creativity rises, challenges still appear, but you face them with centered awareness, not stress. You become more efficient, more intuitive, and more fulfilled regardless of the task. Living in alignment also changes how you handle adversity. Pain is no longer viewed as punishment, but as guidance. Setbacks are not failures, but corrections. You stop resisting what is and start learning from it. Life stops happening to you. It begins unfolding through you. There's also a shift in values. You no longer seek constant stimulation or validation. Instead, you value depth, truth, and simplicity. Joy becomes less about excitement and more about presence. You find meaning in the small, the quiet, the authentic. This way of living is not about perfection. It's about consistency. Every moment offers a choice. Act from habit or from awareness. The more you choose awareness, the more natural it becomes. You are not just in life, you are dancing with it. When you live from the source, you are no longer chasing purpose. You are the expression of it. When you embody the connection with the universal consciousness, your presence begins to impact the world around you, not through force, but through resonance. You become a clear channel for higher frequencies to move through you. Thought, word, and action are no longer driven by personal desire alone, but are guided by insight that transcends logic. This shift doesn't turn you into someone else. It reveals your original nature. You begin to act from wisdom rather than reaction. Creativity flows with purpose. Compassion arises without effort. You find yourself saying things you didn't plan, but that deeply move others. This is not performance, it is presence. You're no longer filtering life through fear, insecurity, or past wounds. You've cleared the interference. Now the signal comes through. Your energy field changes. Others feel calm in your presence. They feel seen, heard, and understood. This happens not because you try to impress, but because you are fully present. You no longer seek attention. Your attention itself becomes healing. In this state, service becomes natural, not as obligation, but as expression. You feel called to contribute, to uplift, to share. Whether it's through words, art, healing, teaching, or simple presence, your actions align with something greater. The impact is real, measurable not only in what you do, but in what others become around you. You also begin to receive more. Ideas, opportunities, relationships, what you once chased starts arriving effortlessly. Not because you manipulated outcomes, but because you attuned yourself to the field that organizes all things. Life starts working with you, not against you. This is not the end of your evolution. It is the beginning of a new phase, living as a conscious participant in a much larger design. Challenges still come, but your relationship with them changes. You navigate them not with resistance, but with presence and trust. To become a channel is not to escape the world. It is to bring consciousness into it. It is to let your life become a bridge between the infinite and the everyday. Not in theory, but in each moment, each breath, each choice. You are not here to seek the source. You are here to become its expression. If this content made sense to you, don't stop here. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content. Now watch this next video where I'll show you another essential step to transform your reality.